My name is Victor. I'm 36 years old, and up until last month, I believed I was the one who kept peace in my family. I've always been the calm, reasonable person, the one who avoids conflicts and ensures every family event goes smoothly. But that day, the day I spent $3,000 on my daughter's princess-themed birthday party, I learned a hard truth. Sometimes, being reasonable only makes you an easy target. My daughter, Emma, had been dreaming about this party for months. She's 6, and like most girls her age, she's completely in love with all things princess. Pink dresses, tiaras, sparkles, the whole fantasy. She even made me promise I'd wear a king's cape so we'd match. I laughed when she said it, but when the day came, I actually did it. It wasn't about me. It was about seeing her smile, and that smile could light up a city. Now, my family is a different story. I have a younger brother, Nate, who's 33. He has a daughter, Lily, just a few months younger than Emma. On paper, that sounds adorable. Cousins growing up together. But in reality, it's been an ongoing competition I never wanted to be part of. Our mom makes it worse. She has this habit of trying to balance things, but somehow I always end up on the losing side. When I bought Emma her first bike, Mom told me not to show off, since Nate couldn't afford one for Lily. When I got promoted, she said, "Don't brag, your brother's been struggling." You get the idea. Still, I never argued. I always told myself, let it go, it's family. But this time, I wanted something different. I wanted Emma to feel special, even for one day. So I went all out, rented a small event hall, hired a decorator, got a princess castle backdrop, a balloon arch, and even hired a professional party host dressed as Cinderella. Invitations went out a month early, and everyone RSVP'd, including Mom, Nate, and the rest of the family. The morning of the party, Emma was glowing with excitement. She woke up before I did, already wearing her tiara and sparkly pink dress. "Daddy, do you think Cinderella will really come?" she whispered like it was our secret. "She promised she would," I said with a smile. I didn't tell her that Cinderella was just an enthusiastic college student with a wig and a talent for balloon animals. The magic mattered more than the truth. When we got to the venue, the parking lot was already half full, which was odd since we were supposed to be the first ones there. Emma was practically bouncing with joy as we walked inside. Then I froze. Hanging across the wall was a massive pink banner that read, "Happy Birthday, Lily," in big golden letters. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe the decorator mixed up the names. But then I saw the cake, 2 tiers of pastel icing with Lily's 6th birthday bash written across the top. A heavy silence settled in my chest. My mom was standing by the punch table, smiling like everything was perfect. "Oh, Victor, you're here," she said cheerfully. "Doesn't it look beautiful?" I just stared at her. "Mom, why does it say Lily on everything?" She waved her hand like it was nothing. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. It just made sense to combine the parties. They're the same age, and it's silly to make everyone attend 2 separate ones." "Combine them?" I repeated slowly. "I spent $3,000 on Emma's party. Every single decoration was made for her." "Yes, and isn't it lovely that Lily gets to share it?" she said, as if she'd done something kind. "You know, Nate's had a rough year. Lily deserves to feel special too." I looked over and saw Nate near the food table, grinning awkwardly. He knew it was wrong, but didn't care enough to stop it. "Mom said it'd be fine," he mumbled. "She said you wouldn't mind." Something inside me cracked. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, but Emma was standing beside me. dot dot dot, nervously holding her dress, looking around at the decorations. She tugged my hand and whispered, "Daddy, who's Lily?" I knelt down. "She's your cousin, sweetheart, Uncle Nate's daughter." Emma nodded, confused. "Then why does it say her name?" she asked quietly. I had no answer. Before I could respond, Lily came running over in a sparkly blue dress, the exact same one I had bought for Emma weeks earlier. "Grandma got it for me," she said proudly. My mom clapped her hands. "Aren't they adorable? Little twin princesses." Emma's smile faded. She looked down at her dress and whispered, "Daddy, mine's not special anymore." That cut deep. The hall filled quickly with laughter, chatter, and camera flashes. Everyone acted like nothing was wrong. Mom introduced it as a joint celebration, and Nate didn't correct her once. I watched as Lily opened gifts that were clearly meant for Emma. I even recognized the wrapping paper. Every time I tried to intervene, Mom stopped me. "Victor, don't make a scene," she whispered. "It's just a kid's party. You'll embarrass everyone." Embarrass everyone? I was the one who paid for everything: the venue, entertainer, food, cake, and DJ. And somehow, this was now Lily's party. I saw Emma sitting quietly at the edge of the stage, holding her gift bag. Her crown had slipped to the side, but she didn't fix it. That image burned into my memory. Then came the breaking point. The Cinderella performer took the microphone and said, "Let's all sing Happy Birthday to our Princess Lily." Music started. Everyone clapped. Emma just stared at the floor. My hands shook. I walked to the sound booth, hit stop, and the room went silent. "This isn't Lily's party," I said firmly. "It's Emma's. I paid for everything, and no one asked before taking it over." Mom's smile vanished. "Victor, you're making a fool of yourself," she hissed. "Let them both enjoy it." I ignored her. I walked over, took Emma's hand, and said, "Sweetheart, we're going home." She looked up, her eyes glassy, and nodded. The DJ froze. Guests whispered. Nate glared at me like I'd ruined Christmas. I didn't care. I started gathering the gifts. "These belong to my daughter," I told anyone who tried to stop me. By the time we left, the sun was setting. Emma sat quietly in the back seat, clutching her stuffed unicorn. After a while, she asked, "Was it my birthday, Daddy?" My throat tightened. "Yes, it was," I said softly. "And next time, it'll be only yours." That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls, messages, voicemails. Family members said I'd caused drama, that I should have handled it differently, that it wasn't a big deal. Mom texted a long message about how family should share and how Emma would soon forget. I didn't reply, but I didn't sleep either. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't just about a party. It was years of favoritism, manipulation, and excuses, and I had finally reached my limit. That night, I decided something had to change. I just didn't know how far I'd go to make it happen. The next morning, my phone buzzed again, non-stop. At first, I thought people were checking on Emma, but when I looked, it was chaos. Group chats, missed calls, dozens of messages. None of it was concern. It was blame. "Victor, it was just a misunderstanding. You didn't have to make such a scene," one aunt said. Another wrote, "Your mom worked so hard on that party. You embarrassed her." And my favorite, "Lily's crying because you took back the gifts. Fix this before it gets worse." Fix this, as if I broke something that hadn't been cracking for years. I sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through the messages, feeling my chest tighten. But one text stood out. Mom's. long, perfectly typed, with her signature passive-aggressive tone. Victor, I'm deeply disappointed in your behavior yesterday. You made everyone uncomfortable and ruined what could have been a lovely day. I understood that you'd spent money, but family isn't measured by that. It's built on love. You've always been so focused on fairness that you forget how to simply share. You owe Nate and Lily an apology. That last sentence made me laugh, but not from amusement, more from disbelief. Apologize? For what? For wanting my daughter to have her own birthday? Emma walked into the kitchen, her hair slightly messy, clutching her stuffed unicorn. Daddy, is Grandma mad? She asked softly. I paused before replying. She's just confused, sweetheart. Sometimes adults forget what really matters. She nodded, though I knew she didn't fully get it. She climbed into her chair and started drawing on a napkin. It was a little princess with a crooked crown, labeled in shaky handwriting, Emma's party. My chest tightened at the sight. I promised myself again. My daughter would never grow up believing she didn't deserve her own happiness. Later that day, Nate called. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. Hey, he began casually, as if nothing had happened. Mom told me you're upset. I just wanted to clear the air. There's nothing to clear, I said. You took over my daughter's birthday. Whoa, hijacked? Come on, man, he replied. Mom thought it'd be nice to celebrate both girls. I figured you were okay with it. You thought I was okay with it? I repeated. Nate, I paid for everything. You didn't even ask. He sighed, sounding tired of the conversation. Look, I get it. You spent a lot, but does it really matter? They're just kids. Lily had fun. Emma did too. Everyone wins. She cried, Nate. There was silence on the line. Then he said, That's not my fault. You made it awkward. You should have just let it go. Now Mom's upset, Lily's upset, and honestly, you're making yourself look bad. That last part hit me. Not because I cared about appearances, but because it revealed everything. For my mom, image always came first. She valued how we looked as a family more than how we were. She'd rather fake harmony than admit wrongdoing. And Nate had learned that habit perfectly. I'm done with this, I said flatly, and hung up. For the next few days, things stayed tense. Mom didn't call, but she sent little digs through the family group chat. Memes about family unity, quotes on forgiveness, even a picture of Lily smiling with the caption, She still had a magical day. That's what matters. Each message just reminded me how little anyone cared about Emma's feelings. What hurt even more was the silence from everyone else. Not one person asked how Emma was doing. Not one. That silence said it all. By Wednesday evening, my phone lit up with Mom's name. For a second, I considered ignoring it, but I picked up. Victor, she began in her sweetest voice. I've been thinking about everything and I want to make things right. For a brief moment, I felt hope. You do? Yes, she said, with a pause that made me suspicious. We're planning a small family dinner on Sunday to celebrate both girls properly this time. No surprises. I'll handle the food. You just bring Emma. I almost laughed. So you want me to bring my daughter to another shared celebration after what happened? It's not a party, she insisted quickly. It's just a family dinner. You know how fragile Nate is right now? He's been so down about everything. Lily's been crying all week. I don't care if she's been crying, I said evenly. Emma cried too. No one seemed to care about that. You're being childish, she snapped, her sugary tone disappearing. You always take things too personally. Do you really want to punish a little girl because of your pride? There it was, the guilt trip she'd perfected over the years. I'm not punishing anyone, I said quietly. I'm protecting my daughter. She huffed into the phone. You always have to play the victim, don't you? I raised you better." That line almost made me lose it. Raised me better? This was the same woman who used to slip Nate extra money behind my back, telling me I didn't need as much because I was the responsible one. The same mom who made me give up my college fund to support Nate's failed business. And still, I kept forgiving her. But that night, I finally said something I'd never said before. "Mom, I think I need some space from you." Silence. Then, coldly, she said, "You're making a mistake, Victor. Family doesn't turn its back on each other." "Funny," I replied. "That's exactly what you've done to Emma and me." And I hung up. The next few days were unusually quiet. No guilt trips, no drama, no messages. It almost felt peaceful. Emma seemed happier too. We went for ice cream together, just the two of us. She smiled and said, "I like it when
She
it's
answered
just
cheerfully,
us."
"Victor, I was just thinking about you. Did you approve extra charges at the venue?"
I asked straight away. She paused. "Oh, that? Yes, the food was running low. I couldn't let people go hungry. You would have done the same." "No," I said sharply. "I wouldn't have lied and charged my card without permission." She sighed dramatically.
"Oh, stop overreacting. You make good money. It's not a big deal."
"It is a big deal. It's my money. You stole it." Her voice hardened. "Watch your tone, Victor. I'm your mother. Don't disrespect me." Disrespect? She turned my daughter's birthday into someone else's celebration and stole from me. And somehow I was being disrespectful? "You're exaggerating," she said coldly. "You've always been ungrateful. I've done everything for you." That was it. That was the breaking point. I hung up mid-sentence. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every memory of her favoritism played in my head. Every moment I'd brushed off. Every time I excused her behavior by saying, "That's just how she is." But that night, it hit me. She'd never stop unless I made her. The next morning, I gathered all the evidence. Receipts, invoices, and emails. I had everything. Payments, decorations, even the original banner order with Emma's name. Then, the venue manager mentioned something interesting. Mom had booked the space using my card, but listed her own email for updates. That's when an idea formed. A small but sharp idea that made me smile for the first time all week. I didn't know how far I'd go yet, but one thing was clear. This time, she was going to learn a lesson. 2 days later, things seemed calm. No calls from Mom or Nate. For a moment, I almost believed they'd realized their mistake. But in my family, silence never meant peace. It meant someone was planning something. On Thursday morning, while sipping my second cup of coffee at work, someone had tagged me in an album titled "The Perfect Family Celebration for Lily and Emma." My stomach dropped. The first photo was of Emma, but the caption read, "Lily's best birthday ever." She stood next to her cousin, both in matching dresses. The photos were cropped, so it looked like Emma was just a guest at Lily's party. I scrolled through image after image, my decorations, my cake, my entertainer, all credited to Lily's birthday. Then I saw a group photo captioned, "So proud of my amazing son Nate for organizing this magical day for his little princess." Mom had posted it. I stared at the screen, reading it again and again. Nate for organizing. Nate, who hadn't paid for or planned a single thing. I'd been the one comparing cake designs, negotiating decor colors, and saving to make the day perfect for Emma. Now it was all being paraded online as Nate's doing. For Lily's birthday, comments started flooding in. "Beautiful job, Nate. You're such a great dad. Lily's party looks incredible. You must have spent a fortune. You've outdone yourself this time." And one that almost made me laugh. "Emma looks like she had fun too. So sweet of you to include her." Include her? As if she were a guest at her own birthday. I stepped into the hallway and called Mom. She answered, cheerful as ever. "Victor, did you see the photos? Aren't they lovely?" "Mom," I said, trying to stay calm, "you need to take them down, now." "Excuse me?" "He's been struggling, and this helped him. Why do you always have to ruin everything?" "This isn't about Nate," I said, my voice tight. "This is about you erasing Emma. She's not even mentioned in half those posts." "She doesn't need attention," Mom said coldly. "She's a child. You're the one obsessed with recognition." That hit hard. For years, every time I stood up for myself, she said something similar. When Nate borrowed my car and wrecked it, she said, "Why do you care so much about material things?" When she once used my name to apply for a credit card, and when I confronted her, she brushed it off, saying, "It's just a misunderstanding. Don't overreact." Every time, I chose to let it go. But this time was different. "Take those posts down," I said, more firmly, "or I will." She gave a short laugh. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," I replied. Then she hung up. The rest of the day, I couldn't focus on anything. I kept refreshing the page, waiting for the post to dis. But it didn't. In fact, it got worse. She uploaded even more photos, a video of Lily blowing out candles on Emma's cake, and another of my mom hugging Nate, captioned, "A mother's heart is full when her children are happy." I felt something heavy building inside me. It wasn't just anger. It was betrayal layered on years of disappointment. I wasn't only upset about the photos. I was hurt because I finally understood how little they'd ever respected me. That night, I drove to my mom's house without calling first. I didn't want to talk on the phone because if she started explaining, I might have cooled down, and I didn't want to this time. When she opened the door, she smiled casually, as if nothing had happened. "Well, look who finally decided to visit." I walked past her into the living room. "Where's Nate?" "He's not here," she replied cautiously. "Why?" "You know why. Take the post down," I said flatly. She folded her arms, her smile fading. "No." "Oh." "No. You don't get to tell me what I can post. You've embarrassed this family enough." "Embarrassed the family?" I repeated, stunned. "You're pretending I don't exist. You're letting everyone believe Nate did everything. You've turned Emma's birthday into a prop for your favorite son." Her voice rose. "Don't call him that. What else should I call him? The golden child?" She slammed her hand on the back of the couch. "Watch your tone. You've always been jealous of him. Always. You make more money, have a stable job, a house, a car, and somehow you still want to take everything from him." I stared at her. "You really believe that, don't you?" She didn't reply. I stepped closer. "You think me wanting my daughter's name on her own birthday cake is taking something from Nate?" "She's just a child," she said quietly. "She won't remember any of this." "She already does," I said. "She asked me why her name wasn't on the cake. No mention of me. Not even Emma." That was when the betrayal stopped feeling emotional and started feeling deliberate. They weren't just ignoring me. They were rewriting the story in public, turning me into the villain by omission. But it didn't end there. The next day, I got a call from Emma's teacher. "Hi, Mr. Harris," she said gently. "Nothing serious, but I wanted to check on something Emma mentioned today." My chest tightened. What did she say? She told her class that her birthday wasn't really hers, that her cousin took it. Then she cried during art class. I couldn't speak for a moment. "She seems confused, maybe hurt," the teacher added softly. "I just thought you should know." I thanked her, hung up, and sat in silence, staring at the wall. The anger inside me cracked into something worse. Guilt. because it wasn't just about me anymore. My silence had let them walk over Emma too. That night, after dinner, I sat beside her. "Hey, princess, proof payments, proof messages." For the first time, I wasn't trying to keep the peace. I was thinking about leverage. I didn't know what my next step was, but I knew one thing. This betrayal wasn't going to be buried under family guilt this time. The next week felt like walking through fog. I still went to work, packed Emma's lunch, smiled when she showed me her drawings, but everything behind that smile was hollow. Every night, I sat in front of my laptop, staring at that growing folder of evidence. Receipts, screenshots, voice notes, photos of decorations, everything proving the truth. I didn't know how I'd use it yet, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending. It was strange how fast people could twist reality. Within days, my family had rewritten the story completely. Gossip spread through relatives like wildfire. Victor overreacted. Victor ruined the party. Victor embarrassed everyone. Each time I saw another version of the story, I felt disbelief and exhaustion. When you realize the pain isn't just yours anymore, it's touching someone innocent. The next morning, my mom texted me, "We need to talk." No apology, no explanation, just that. I ignored it. Then another. "Don't be immature, Victor. You can't avoid family forever." I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "Watch me." Over the next few days, I didn't answer her calls. When I stayed silent, she switched tactics. She called my ex-wife, Julia. Julia and I had been divorced for 3 years, but we co-parented Emma peacefully. She stayed out of the family drama. So when she called me that Friday, I knew something was up. "Victor, your mom called me," she said carefully. I groaned. "Great, what now?" "She's worried about you," Julia continued. "She said you've been acting erratic, that you ruined a family event and won't let Emma see her relatives. She asked if I could talk some sense into you." I laughed bitterly. Of course she did. Did she mention that she stole $3,000 of my money and turned our daughter's birthday into a photo shoot for Lily? Julia sighed. "She didn't say that." "Yeah, well, she wouldn't." "I'm not taking sides," Julia said gently. "But maybe it's not good for Emma to be in the middle." "I know that," I said quietly. "That's why I'm protecting her." Julia hesitated. "So what are you going to do?" That was the problem. I didn't know yet. I wasn't ready to share the evidence I'd collected, and I wasn't sure if exposing it would even fix anything. But I knew I couldn't keep letting them walk over me. "Nothing yet," I said, "but I'm done pretending." After that, the silence between my mom and me became permanent. No calls, no texts, no guilt trips. For a while, I thought maybe it was over, until the letter came. It arrived on a Tuesday, written in her familiar handwriting. For a moment, I thought it might be an apology. It wasn't. Inside was a typed letter, polished and self-righteous. "Victor, I've tried to be patient with you, but your behavior has left me no choice but to set boundaries. You've become toxic and disrespectful, and I won't allow you to disrupt this family's peace any longer. You're no longer welcome at family gatherings until you apologize to Nate and me. This isn't out of malice. It's for everyone's well-being. With love, Mom." With love, I read it twice, folded it, and threw it in the trash. That night, I didn't tell anyone. Not Julia, not my friends, not even my sister-in-law, who sometimes texted me complaining about Nate's laziness. I didn't need pity. I just sat on the porch, watching the neighborhood lights flicker on. Strangely, I felt relief. I didn't want to attend another fake family gathering anyway. But as days passed, guilt crept back in, especially when Emma asked, Can Grandma come to my next birthday? I hesitated. We'll see, sweetheart. Dot. She frowned. But I miss her. That broke me. My mother wasn't just betraying me, she was reshaping Emma's idea of family. Over the next few weeks, I distanced myself further. I stopped answering messages, stopped explaining. I kept remembering the look on Emma's face at that party, the way her crown slipped as she stared at the wrong name on the cake. If that was family peace, I wanted no part of it. But even when I tried to move on, they wouldn't leave me alone. One night, around 8 p.m., the doorbell rang. Aunt Linda stood there, arms crossed. "Victor, we need to talk," she said. "I'm not interested," I replied, starting to close the door. She blocked it. "Don't be rude. Your mother's heartbroken." I gave a humorless laugh. "Heartbroken? She wrote me a letter disowning me." "She didn't mean it that way," Linda said quickly. "You know how emotional she gets." "She's been emotional for 36 years, I said flatly. "I'm done making excuses." Linda sighed. "Listen, Nate's planning another party next month. For both girls and your mom's birthday. It'd mean a lot if you came. You could make amends." "Make amends?" I repeated. "For what?" "For walking out," she said simply. "For taking things too personally." I just stared at her. "You actually believe that?" She shrugged. "Family's messy. It's not worth losing each other over a kid's party." I closed the door. After that, the silence was total. Nobody called. Nobody checked in. I'd been quietly erased. But isolation brings clarity. At first, I didn't want revenge. I told myself I'd just move on, build peace with Emma. But the more I thought about how easily they rewrote the story, the more I realized walking away wasn't enough. Because as long as they controlled the narrative, Emma would grow up hearing lies. So I started preparing, quietly. I gathered every screenshot, text, and message that proved their hypocrisy. I saved the Facebook posts, the rec, the decorator emails, even recorded a call with the venue manager confirming my mom's unauthorized charges. Piece by piece, I built something, not just a folder of evidence, but a shield. Every night after Emma fell asleep, I'd open that folder. It was like therapy, proof that I wasn't crazy, proof that they couldn't twist this forever. I didn't know when I'd use it, but I knew I would. For now, all I could do was wait, protect Emma, and stay silent. Because when you've hit rock bottom, the only way left is up. And when I rise, I'll make sure they regret ever underestimating me. The months that followed were the quietest of my life, but for the first time, quiet felt like healing, not punishment. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped defending what I knew was right. Gradually, things shifted. My mornings didn't start with anxiety anymore. I woke up, made coffee, packed Emma's lunch, and sat with her at breakfast instead of scrolling through guilt-filled messages. I started sleeping again, breathing again. Cutting off toxicity is like removing a strangling vine. You don't realize how much it's been choking you until it's gone. Emma was lighter too, laughing louder, smiling brighter, covered in glitter from school art projects. She didn't talk about Grandma or Lily anymore. We made new routines. Saturday park mornings, Sunday pancakes, Friday movie nights. Slowly, we healed. Sometimes I'd catch her staring at an old family photo. My mom holding her, Nate beside me with his practiced smile. I'd think about taking it down, but I never did. It wasn't denial. It was a reminder of what we survived. Work became my new focus. As a project manager at a mid-sized tech company, I'd always kept my head down. But after everything, I changed. I started speaking up, pitching ideas, taking initiative. Maybe I was channeling all that repressed frustration into something productive, because within months, I was leading my own project. 6 months later, I was promoted. For the first time, I was recognized, respected, valued. My boss called me the fixer, the one who makes things work. The irony wasn't lost on me. With the raise, I finally did something I'd been quietly planning. I bought a new house, not flashy, but with a backyard big enough for Emma to run free. I set up a small art studio for Emma in our new home, a spare room turned into her own princess space. I even let her paint one wall by herself. And by the end, it was covered in pink and purple handprints. When we moved in, she twirled in the middle of the empty living room and said, "It's like our castle, Daddy." I smiled and replied, "Exactly, our castle." That night, after she fell asleep, I sat on the porch with a glass of whiskey, thinking about how far we'd come. For the first time in years, I felt something new. Pride. Not just pride in what I had built, but in what I had finally left behind. No more manipulation. No guilt. I didn't respond. He fidgeted with his coffee cup before continuing. "So, listen, things haven't been great for me lately. Work's been slow, bills are piling up, you know how it is." I raised an eyebrow. "You didn't call me here to talk about your bills." He hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "Right. So, Mom had this idea." Of course she did. "She thought maybe we could start something together, like a family business. You could handle the finances, I'd manage operations. She said it'd be good for us to reconnect as a family." I almost laughed. "You mean she said I should fund your next bad idea?" His smile faded. "That's not fair. Neither is stealing a 6-year-old's birthday," I said flatly. He looked down, then back at me. "You really gonna hold that over me forever? You're really gonna pretend it didn't happen?" I asked. He sighed. "Look, I messed up, okay? Mom thought combining the parties would save money and I went along with it. She was just trying to help." "Help who?" I asked quietly. "Because it wasn't me or Emma." He didn't answer. I leaned back. "You want me to invest in something? Fine. Send me a business plan. But I'm not mixing family and money again." He forced a small smile. "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." We both knew he wouldn't. A week after that awkward diner meeting, something strange started happening. Random acquaintances began messaging me, saying they'd heard rumors about me abandoning my family and turning my back on the people who raised me. At first, I ignored it. Gossip didn't matter anymore. But when a coworker quietly pulled me aside one morning and asked if it was true that I'd cut off my mother after she helped raise my daughter, I realized this was something deeper. I went home that night, sat in front of my laptop, and typed my name into social media. What I found nearly made me sick. There it was, a long, emotional Facebook post written by my mother. She had posted a photo of me holding Emma from years ago, captioned, "Some children forget who held them when they were small. Some forget who stayed up all night when they were sick." All I ever did was love my son and his child. But success changes people. I just hope one day he remembers that family isn't replaceable. The post had over 3,000 reactions and hundreds of comments, mostly from family friends and people who didn't know the full story. "You deserve better. Some kids forget their roots. He'll come around, they always do." My stomach turned. This wasn't just manipulation. This was reputation warfare. She knew exactly what she was doing, twisting reality to make herself the victim and me the ungrateful son. I scrolled further, and the pain turned to rage. She had posted photos from Emma's old birthdays, the same ones she had ruined, writing captions like, "Even when he pushes me away, I'll always love my granddaughter. Blood is blood. ... Every post made it worse. Every comment added another wound. I remember sitting there, staring at the screen, trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. She was weaponizing motherhood, using her image as the loving mother to erase everything she'd done. For days, I tried to ignore it. But the problem was, people started believing it. At the grocery store, a neighbor gave me a cold look. At work, a colleague asked if things were okay at home. Even Emma's teacher subtly hinted that she had heard things about our family situation. My private life was being rewritten in public. Then came the worst part. She reached out to Emma. One afternoon, while I was at work, Emma's tablet lit up with a video call. My mom's face appeared, smiling sweetly. "Hi, baby girl. Grandma misses you." Emma smiled, innocent and unaware of the chaos behind the scenes. "Grandma, Daddy says we can't visit you anymore. Why?" My mother sighed dramatically. "Oh, honey, Daddy's just upset. He thinks Grandma's bad, but Grandma just wants to see you. Maybe one day, when Daddy's heart softens, we'll all be together again." When I got home and Emma told me about the call, my hands went cold. It wasn't just manipulation anymore. It was poisoning, planting seeds in my daughter's mind. That night, I sent my mother a message. "Do not contact Emma again without my permission." Her reply came within minutes. "You can't keep her from her family forever, Victor. One day she'll see who you really are." It hit me like a punch to the chest. That sentence, "One day she'll see who you really are." Because that's what this was all about. Control. Not love, not family, control. I finally understood what my therapist had once told me. Some people don't want a relationship, they want ownership. From that moment, I decided I was done defending myself privately. If my story was going to be twisted online, I'd tell the truth myself, publicly, in my own words. That night, I opened a blank document. The title I typed was simple: "The Cost of Loyalty, a Son's Story." I didn't know it then, but that single act, deciding to write my side, would start something that changed not only my life, but thousands of others who had been through the same silent kind of emotional manipulation. When I began writing that night, I didn't plan to create something big. I just needed to let it out. Every lie, every manipulation, every memory that had been buried under guilt. I wrote for hours. The words came faster than I could process them. I talked about the birthday that wasn't hers anymore, about the years of emotional guilt, about the endless expectations disguised as love. By sunrise, I had written nearly 8,000 words. I read it once, then twice. It wasn't angry. It was honest. For the first time, I wasn't explaining or defending myself. I was simply telling the truth. I posted it on a small blogging site under the same title, "The Cost of Loyalty, a Son's Story." I closed my laptop and went to make breakfast, assuming maybe a handful of people might read it. By lunchtime, it had over 20,000 views. By evening, 100,000. And the comments, they came faster than I could read. "This is my story too. I thought I was the only one dealing with a manipulative parent. You just put into words everything I felt for years." Thousands of strangers connected instantly. Some were angry, some were broken, Some were just relieved someone had finally said what they couldn't. But not everyone was supportive. My mother's friends flooded the comment section, calling me ungrateful, disrespectful, and heartless. They accused me of humiliating my own family for attention. At first, I thought about deleting it, but then I realized something. For every hateful comment, ... there were 10 messages of gratitude from people who had finally found the courage to walk away from toxic family dynamics. That night, I opened a new email I'd made for the blog. It was overflowing. People were sharing their own stories, some short, some pages long. Stories of guilt, control, and emotional debt disguised as love. So, I began sharing their words too. Every week, I posted one story, carefully edited and anonymized, giving others a place to be heard. The blog started gaining traction, featured on forums, shared on social media, and mentioned by small online magazines. Within a month, I had 500,000 readers. I didn't monetize it. I didn't care about views or followers. For me, it had become something else, a digital support group for people who had spent their lives walking on eggshells around their own families. But my mother saw it differently. One evening, I received a text from an unknown number. "So now you're airing family business online. Real mature, Victor." I didn't respond. An hour later, she called. When I answered, her voice was calm, too calm. "I read your little blog," she said. "It's cute how you think you're a victim." I stayed silent. She continued, "You've embarrassed this family. You've made me look like a monster to strangers who don't even know you. Is that what you wanted?" I replied quietly, "I just told the truth." "The truth?" she repeated, laughing bitterly. "Your truth, maybe. Not the real one." Then she said the words that showed me she hadn't learned a thing. "If you don't take that down, don't ever call yourself my son again." I took a deep breath and said, "Then I guess I'm not." I hung up. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I felt free. But freedom came with consequences. The next week, one of her friends leaked screenshots of our private family photos online, claiming I had edited the story to make her look blank. People started debating whether my story was real. Some defended me, others called it fake. It turned into chaos, but amidst the noise, something powerful happened. Major online platforms reached out, asking to feature my story as part of a series on emotional manipulation within families. I agreed, not for revenge, but for awareness. And when that article went live, everything changed. My inbox overflowed again, this time with messages from psychologists, authors, and even a few TV producers asking to interview me. I refused all of them. I didn't want fame. I wanted peace. But it was too late. The truth had already found its audience. After the blog went viral, I realized something important. Words alone weren't enough. People believe what they see, not what they're told. And my mother had spent years perfecting the image of being gentle, selfless, and misunderstood. So I started collecting everything: messages, screenshots, voicemails, old text chains, even birthday recordings where her tone shifted from kind to controlling the second things didn't go her way. I wasn't trying to destroy her. I just wanted the full truth documented. Proof that what I had written wasn't born out of bitterness, but out of survival. The deeper I went, the more I found. old conversations with Nate where he admitted she manipulates everyone but always looks innocent. A message from one of her friends, confessing she sometimes crosses the line but means well. Even receipts showing that she'd used my money for things she claimed were gifts for Emma, but were actually things for herself. Piece by piece, I began connecting years of small betrayals into one undeniable pattern. It was strange, though. The more I gathered, the less angry I became. I started to see it clearly. She wasn't evil. She was just someone who had never learned to exist without control. Her identity depended on being needed, and when I stopped needing her, she turned me into the enemy. But clarity didn't erase damage, and I wasn't going to let her version of the story stand any longer. So I decided to publish a follow-up post, not out of spite, but transparency. I titled it, Proof of Silence. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't emotional, it was factual. Every claim backed with screenshots, timestamps, and dates. I blurred private names and kept Emma out of it completely. When I hit publish, I didn't know what would happen. The first hour, quiet. The second, comments started trickling in. By the fifth hour, it was trending again. But this time, the tone was different. People weren't debating anymore. They were stunned. This is heartbreaking. She gaslit him for years. Every manipulative parent uses love as a leash. Other readers began submitting their own screenshots and emails, proof of similar patterns from their families. That realization hit me deeply. For the first time, I wasn't powerless. I wasn't a scared child trying to defend himself. I was a man standing on truth. Eventually, her lawyer withdrew the complaint, and not long after, the public began to see her silence for what it was. Not grace, but guilt. Weeks passed. The outrage faded. The movement slowed. But something profound had happened. Families began talking. People started therapy. Sons and daughters started setting boundaries for the first time in their lives. And through it all, I stayed quiet. I didn't gloat. I didn't post updates. I just kept writing. But then, months later, something I never expected happened. A letter arrived in the mail, handwritten, no return address. But I knew the handwriting instantly. It was from her. I sat at my desk, staring at the envelope. The handwriting was unmistakable, neat, sharp, familiar. My heart pounded as I turned it over in my hands. For a moment, I thought about throwing it away. After everything that had happened, I didn't owe her my attention. But curiosity, or maybe some small leftover hope, made me open it. Inside was a 3-page letter. Her tone was different this time. Not defensive, not demanding, just tired. She wrote, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just need you to understand that everything I did came from fear. Fear of losing you. Fear of being forgotten. Maybe I went too far. Maybe I held on too tightly. I didn't know how to love without control." She went on to describe her loneliness, how the attention she got online had quickly turned sour. People she thought were friends stopped calling. Neighbors looked at her differently. Even her church group distanced themselves once they learned what had really happened. "I thought I was protecting family," she wrote, "but I was protecting an illusion, one that made me feel important." Then, near the end, she said something that made me stop reading for a moment. "I never learned to say sorry without expecting something in return. But this time, I don't want anything. Just peace." For a long time, I sat there in silence. The words were genuine, or at least they felt that way. I didn't know if she was truly sorry or just broken by the fallout. But for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I just felt done. So I wrote her back. I kept it short. I hope you find peace. I've already found mine. Let's leave each other in it. I didn't expect to hear from her again. And for months, I didn't. Then, one afternoon, Emma came home from school holding a small envelope. Her teacher had given it to her, saying a lady had dropped it off earlier that day. My stomach tightened. Emma handed it to me, smiling. It's from Grandma. Inside was a short card. No drama this time, no guilt. Just a note written in shaky handwriting. Happy birthday, my little artist. Paint something for Grandma. Attached was a small watercolor set. Nothing fancy, just simple, clean colors. I didn't know what to say. Emma, though, was thrilled. She jumped around the room, holding the gift like it was the greatest treasure in the world. Can I paint for her, Daddy? She asked. I hesitated. For years I built walls to protect her from that part of our history. But seeing her joy, so pure, so untouched by bitterness, I realized maybe I didn't need to pass on the pain. So I nodded. Yes, baby, you can paint for her. She spent the entire evening painting, a sunset, with two stick figures holding hands. Underneath, she wrote, Grandma and me. She asked if I could send it to her. I agreed. A week later, a thank you card arrived. Short and simple again. Just one line. Thank you for letting me be part of her world, even from afar. There was no manipulation, no hidden message, just gratitude. And somehow, that was enough. Over time, small gestures continued. Birthday cards, holiday letters. Never too close, never too much. It became a quiet truce. She stayed in her corner, and I stayed in mine. And Emma, she grew up knowing love didn't have to come with guilt. She never saw the war behind her childhood, only the peace that followed. I often wondered if my mother ever truly forgave herself. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she just learned to live with the echo of her mistakes. But for me, the forgiveness wasn't about her. It was about me, releasing the weight of the past so my daughter wouldn't inherit it. Time moved forward quietly. Months turned into years, and the noise that once surrounded me faded into memory. My blog, the one that started as a desperate attempt to tell my side of the story, had evolved into something much larger. It wasn't just my voice anymore. Inside was a framed photo, Emma's painting from years ago, the sunset with Grandma and me written underneath. Below it, a note read, You gave me something beautiful when I didn't deserve it. Keep painting the world brighter than I ever could. I felt something in my chest shift. Not pain, not sadness, just acceptance. Emma smiled softly. Can we hang it in my art room? I nodded. Yes, sweetheart. That's the perfect place. That evening, after the guests left and the laughter faded into quiet, I sat on the porch again, the same porch where years ago I'd toasted the start of our new life. Only this time, I didn't feel like I was running from anything. I was exactly where I was meant to be. I thought about the past, about my mother, Nate, the blog, the letters, the noise, and realized something simple but profound. Closure isn't a door that slams shut. It's a window that opens quietly when you finally stop waiting for an apology. I took a deep breath, looked up at the night sky, and whispered, We're okay now. Inside, I could hear Emma humming as she cleaned up her art supplies. That sound, Her voice, her peace, was everything I had fought for, and for the first time, I felt the truth settle softly inside me. The cycle ended with me.